That's
I'm
crazy.
doing really well. I just got a pop up. I'm doing really well. Tell me guys about your podcast.
Okay, so our podcast is basically just asking entrepreneurs, people with interesting hobbies, what they do for their lives, how they got to where they are, and really just getting a awesome connection with people much older and well in incredible fields that they are in.
Okay, got it. And are you guys all brothers and sister?
Yes,
Yeah.
we're brothers.
Okay, awesome. Well, I appreciate being on here. I think your mom, Lynn, I don't know how you guys uh, learned about me, but probably through my Instagram and free healthy vending, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I appreciate that. So my name is Ryan O'Keefe. I'm the founder of actually two companies, Vending Accelerator, where I help clients build six-figure healthy vending machine businesses. And Free Healthy Vending is the brand that we launch in marketplaces. That's a national company to help secure great locations for our free healthy vending machines, because our clients buy the machines and then it's free for the locations. And we put in organic snacks and beverages, even some gluten-free items, vegan and non-GMO, but it's mostly organic snacks and drinks.
Right.
Right.
And one thing that I was curious about your business is the fact that you're able to get in contact with some of the owners of the locations and businesses, schools that you send out vending machines to. So how exactly does the process go for getting in contact, setting up an agreement, and setting up a vending machine there will by a representative who's taking your coaching?
Yeah, which is really interesting. So have you guys talked to anybody in the vending business before?
No, this is our
No,
first time.
Very first time.
Okay, so to put this in perspective for you guys, most people don't know this. The average vending machine in the United States only makes about $300 to $400 a month.
Wow.
Is that lower, less, or more, less or more than what you thought?
Less than I thought.
Less
Less,
than I
yeah.
thought. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's on average, and some machines can make $1,000, $1,500, and some more than that. But what we do is we specifically place our machines in high foot traffic locations, meaning 300 daily consumers or more. And predominantly, we go into public, private, and charter schools.
Yeah.
And another big part of it, though, is we remove existing vending machines. So we replace the junk food machines because we bring in brand new state-of-the-art equipment with technology those machines don't have. The machines are they have beautiful graphics on them. And then with the healthier choices, we can attract all consumers, not just junk food eaters, who are frankly the easiest to win over because all they care about is taste.
Yeah.
Right? You guys have had Pop Chips and Cliff Bars. They taste awesome, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Right? And then you can introduce folks who would actually never go to a vending machine. Like myself, if I went to a vending machine at a hospital or an airport, I'm looking for peanuts, pretzels, or water, right? But now you can invite folks who would actually never go to a vending machine. So more consumers, more sales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting question is because generally we are right now reaching out to locations through email campaigns, mostly through mostly through email campaigns and manual outreach. I've got a small team that does a lot of the research in marketplaces for all the different types of locations. A lot of research goes into schools because a school, it can sometimes be up to the principal.
Yeah.
It sometimes can be spearheaded by the bookkeeper in the school to work with the principal because they're generally a lot easier to get a hold of. But then if it's with the district, that's a whole other ballgame because that could be food service. That could be the business office or business services. That could be the treasury department. It could be the superintendent's office, the assistant superintendent's office. It could be a number of folks that make that decision. So we navigate that. And you guys are all in school. So the most difficult thing with schools is that these decision makers are very busy. And so when they hear about our program, we always get positive responses, but vending decisions go to the bottom of the totem pole.
Yeah.
So we use an approach that's called what I like to call politely persistent, right? Where you're persistent enough, but you're polite about it, because if you push these folks, right, they'll just say, hey, you know what, we're just going to wait till the next school year. It's not something we can make a decision on. So there's some other strategies that we do as well. Like we send out boxes of product samples, because one of the biggest objections to overcome is, hey, are our consumers, kids, are they even going to like our products? So we send them samples of our products, right? Like hippies, right? This is a product made through chickpeas that tastes awesome. So we'll send them out a box of product samples, and they'll get those in their office, and they'll try them out. And they're like, hey, we got the snacks. They taste really good. So usually overcomes one of the biggest objections, which is, will our consumers even like the products?
Right.
Yeah.
So starting from the beginning a little bit, what like kind of inspired you to go into the vending machine business? Because I feel like not a lot of people would think about that at first. So I'm just wondering what inspired you.
Sure. Yeah, no, it's really interesting. Is that a lot of people say that. I've been in the industry for 12 years now, and it's still to this day, folks are like, gosh, that's a great idea. Why hasn't anybody done it? And interesting enough, I've been in the industry for 12 years. I worked for a company for 4.5 years. And they were a healthy vending franchise, and so I started off with them. How I learned the ropes in the industry and what have you. But that company was it was a tough go. I worked for somebody who was very emotional. So they were very hot or cold. Some days you had no idea who you were walking into. So it was a very toxic environment. That's some advice I'd give to you guys. If you find leadership in places, and you find somebody who's just up and down every day, it's a very emotional leader. It's not really somebody that you really even would call a leader. It's more somebody who typically just manages and doesn't actually lead and empower you and challenge you to become better. And they're more of a kind of a in your face kind of a thing. It was a tough place to work, but I believed in what we were doing. So I stuck around for a long time. And then I launched my own company from there, grew that business from $0 revenue annually to $1.4 million annual revenue in 3 years, which is revenue.
Yeah.
I'll give you a great point if you keep this in mind. So in business, revenue is vanity.
Yeah.
Okay. Profit is reality.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cash is sanity.
Got it.
So cash in the bank meaning. So a business can make $30 million a year, but if they're losing $32 million, they're $2 million in the hole.
Yeah. Right.
So that's the thing I would do. So while that revenue sounds great, it comes down to, the profit and the cash in the bank. So anyway, though, I ended up closing that company. I had a really bad business partner. I made a lot of mistakes as a first-time entrepreneur. And then from that, I took all my learning lessons and launched Vending Accelerator in 2020, February, 1 month before COVID. Yeah. That was a tough go. You couldn't predict that. So it was a slow, but we really took off last year in 2022.
And with being in the field for 12 years, has there been any improvements or changes that you've seen over time when being in this place for so long?
Yeah, that's a really great question because, there's only a handful of companies that are really in this space across the U.S., but they actually don't even offer healthy vending. They just attract their clients by claiming that they do healthy vending, but when it comes down to it, they still put junk food in their machines. We're actually the only true national company that does true healthy vending, which we have 2 minimum standards for our free healthy vending brand, which is no high fructose corn syrup, HFCS.
Okay.
The dangers of that, you can literally just Google dangers of HFCS and preservatives. There's no preservatives. So again, the big thing is organics though. So, and again, you can do the same thing. Google dangers of preservatives in food, and you can learn all about that.
Right. Yeah. And with your company, you probably have a big team because of all the stuff you guys are doing. You have people that are looking at places, they're talking to people. You probably, I'm guessing, have nutritionists looking for new products to put in your vending machines. So what does your team look like in your company?
So another great question, because that was one of the big things that I learned with my first business. I actually ended up growing it to a team of 15 folks. I actually overpaid employees, had just a payroll that was through the roof.
Yeah.
One of the things that I took into my second business is to stay lean. As a startup and as a new business, it's really important to stay lean, and keep your overhead low.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And because what I did initially is I took upon some of the employees from the first company who were really unhappy like me and brought them over, and then I overpaid them.
Yeah.
So and I made mistakes, and I hired an in-house digital marketing guy, and was paying him $50,000 a year. As a startup, that's a really tough thing to do as a self-funded startup. So I actually use mostly with my team virtual assistants. Virtual assistants, you might be familiar with like Fiverr or Upwork.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? Those are virtual assistants. Those are people that you can hire at a much lesser hourly rate or per project basis or per part-time basis, and pay them much less. My virtual assistants are over in the Philippines.
Okay.
Extremely hard workers, very good at what they do, and I'm able to get a lot. I'm able to afford that much more easily because in the Philippines their cost of living is much lower. So my virtual assistants are on hourly rates of $6, $8, as high as $10 an hour, and they do unbelievable work. Now, at some point, I believe that you'll outgrow virtual assistants as you grow your team. So fortunately, we're at a point where the majority of my team are virtual assistants, and essentially just me and another person in the office. And the rest of the team is virtual assistants. And I'm able to stay lean that way. And that way we're not overextending ourselves financially. And most of the money can stay in the business.
Right. Yeah. And one thing you were talking about in one of our other questions is in your other business, your partner wasn't necessarily the best leader, and there was faults in the company. So now that you're in a much better position and you've learned a significant lesson in your business practice, how do you become a leader to make sure that your company is working the most efficient it can be? So,
really good question. Another great question. I do exactly what you guys are doing. So one of the things you mentioned at the beginning of this interview is, talking to older people, but more so than older people, but people that are more experienced and doing business levels above you. Whether their age is really non-relevant, because if you find a 14-year-old that has a $10 million business, you'd like to learn from them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're out there. I sat next to a 13, 14-year-old kid who, literally a 13, 14-year-old kid at an event. And all of a sudden they start talking about this kid and his sock company. And the kid sit next to me and they're like, oh, we're going to bring him up stage and talk for a few minutes. He literally gets up and I'm sitting there talking to him. And I was like, he was a really smart kid. And we were just chit chatting. I'm like, and this kid made $20 million last year. I was like, holy cow.
Wow. Yeah.
With a sock company. Crazy. Anyway, so I do exactly what you do. Like literally just a few weeks ago, I went to St. Louis, and if you don't know these folks, check them out. Andy Frisella, he's the founder of First Form, massive company based out of St. Louis. They're a vitamin and supplement company. Ed Milet. Is he's an absolute beast in business and in life, and he has his business, I believe, right around $800 million annually, something like that. And David Goggins was there. Do you guys know David Goggins? Yeah, right. The hardest man on the planet, right? The hardest man on the planet. So he was there. And it was just a speaking event. So learning from those folks and spending a few $100 to go to St. Louis and get that ticket and learn from those folks. And the best thing there was, in addition to those guys, almost probably the best part is networking with other entrepreneurs and putting yourself out there, right? So, and really just learning from others and leaving your ego at the door and understanding that there's always something to learn. The learning process, there's no ceiling on learning. You can always learn more. And there's always people doing business at levels higher than you. If you're a $10 million company, you get in rooms where people are $50 million or $100 million. If you're in a $100 million company, you go into rooms where there's $1 billion companies, so on and so forth. but there's levels. You get $10,000 a year, then you find yourself, then you go find a room where there's businesses at $100,000 a year, right? Then you're at $100,000, find $250,000, $500,000, million. There's always levels to it because the way to acquire customers, create sales, run businesses changes at each level.
Right, exactly.
So
Yeah.
Awesome. And you were talking about networking and getting a good crowd to kind of help you and invest in you. And so I want to ask you, with all the networking that you have done, what are some people that you have become close friends with that have kind of been your mentors?
So I belong to a men's organization called Wake Up Warrior. This is ran by a gentleman by the name of Garrett J. White out of Laguna Beach. And this was a men's event program that basically takes high-producing men specifically. They've worked with women in the past, but it's predominantly men, and today it's married men specifically, who are, what they call one or two dimensions in life. There's 4 of them in total, meaning in most cases they're really good at in every case, because it's a hefty investment. They're always good at business. Right. That's the first dimension. The second dimension that they're usually good at, if they're, or very uncommonly they're not, is they're usually fit. Okay. And the third one is their connection with their spouse or partner or those closest to them, like their kids and their wife or their partner. And then the fourth one is their connection with their spirituality or religion. We call it body, being, balance, and business. And those are the 4 dimensions of it. And ultimately, this whole program and experience and the work you do afterwards was something that really changed my life forever. I ended up, getting rid of like 95% of my friends and spending time with those folks and people and spending more time with people that went through this experience and worked on themselves, reconnected with their partners and wives and kids. And when their businesses literally just took off in 10x because they invested in themselves in those 4 areas of their lives every single day. And it shows you how to do that and how to invest in your body. So again, body is your fitness, balance is your relationships, being is your spirituality, religion, your business. Is that so? There's ways that you can invest in it every single day. Because so many people, right? It's like, oh, I don't have the best relationship with my wife because I'm so busy at work. But really, it's just that you're putting that ahead of connecting with your wife. When there's little ways that you can connect with your wife, little different ways that you can do that with your children, having one-on-one time with your kids on a regular basis, on a weekly basis, where you have date nights with your kids that you didn't do before that you can reconnect. So with that, I've been able to generate a network of successful entrepreneurs all over the United States that I can tap into at any point and go to and be very, very real with versus surface level relationships with a lot of people who are like, hey, man, are you good? Yeah, I'm good. Right. But if you're talking to a Wake Up Warrior guy and he goes, yeah, I'm good. We're like, what's up? What's going on? Right. All right. Let's talk for real. Let's get rid of the pleasantries and you can talk very, very real with those folks.
Yeah, absolutely. Bringing it back to the business of vending machines, one of the core concepts is that you allow people to receive vending machines and put it in the locations and practically just take care and restock the machines. So do you have like a training step process that you introduce to these newcomers into the industry? And if so, could you give us a little insight?
Yeah, so that's Vending Accelerator. That's the course itself. It'll actually teach you initially, how to set up your business, putting in place your entity, typically an LLC, putting in place your business bank account, what licenses and permits you need to be legal and recognized as a vending machine business in the state that you're in. And then from there, it introduces you to the Healthy Vending Blueprint, as far as where to buy your products, what products to buy, regulations when it comes to schools that are set forth by the government because schools have specific guidelines that have to be met, and other locations as well. Then it teaches you how to secure locations. We also have some programs that will help you secure locations, but the course will show you actually how to secure locations. We have a partnership with a company on the machines to get a discount. You can finance the machines, training on the machines. So literally everything's in there on a course. It's online. access it 24/7. You go at your own pace, as quickly or slowly as you like.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, with you being in the healthy aspect of vending machines, and there also being another aspect of the unhealthy items, what
Yeah.
are some of the advantages and disadvantages of both sides in this area?
So yeah, it's a great question. So I can't speak to junk food because I've never done it. Okay, here's what I can tell you is that most vending businesses, well, let's put it to the location side of thing. When we reach out to locations, most locations deal with some sort of issues with their current vending machine program, whether it's the machine's outdated, right? It's ugly. It's not real attractive to look at, so they hide it, right? It's constantly broken down. The technology is old, right? It constantly has out of order on it. It doesn't get really good servicing from the owner operator. It's just junk food. So generally we can speak to that and find out what these issues are and say, hey, I've got a great opportunity for you. Company's called Free Healthy Vending. We bring in a state-of-the-art vending machine that has guaranteed product delivery, which overcomes a really big common objection, which is, hey, my consumers are constantly going to our front desk and saying that the machine, right, didn't take their money, didn't give them the product they wanted, it ate their money. You guys have all had that happen, right? Yeah. So guaranteed product delivery alleviates that whole issue. All right. Plus the machine's really beautiful. It's got awesome graphics on it. So you're not going to want to hide the machine, the best technology you can get. And then, basically just overcoming those really common issues. And at this point, I would just love to shoot you over a proposal, show you what the machine looks like, shoot you out some product samples. And in most cases, you just get those folks to open up that email, see what the machine looks like. They're going to be like, we hear this all the time. Whoa. This is not regular vending. No, it's not. That machine is beautiful, and it has a touch screen on it, so you can actually it runs video. It's all touch screen technology. You can pull up pictures of the products. Then you see the nutritional information, of course, prices, and it actually upsells for the owner operator. So almost like when you go to Amazon, it says, "Hey, when customers buy this, they also buy this." So it upsells for you.
That's
Wow,
great.
that's incredible. And along with this industry being, continuous movingly forward, is there any future developments in this industry that are particularly in your interest and getting you excited for, just in future endeavors?
So yeah, absolutely. So it's in our vision. It's not anything that we're going to be, working on at this point, but in the future, we are going to be adding to it CBD vending, health and beauty supply vending, like that one, right? As folks want those things much more conveniently, and nobody really is out there doing it all that well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So when you're moving into these much more broader aspects of the vending machine industry, is there any particular one that you're interested in? You want to get your feet on the ground and set it up to be a very successful branch of your company so far?
Wait, so you asked that question again?
Is there any specific type of vending machines you want to start working on? Like at airports, they have a vending machine that gives you chargers, headphones. There's like makeup, desserts, or something like that.
Well, no, more so than that. Our big concentration, and the big thing that we're doing next is launching our social media campaigns for the Free Healthy Vending brand. We're in the process of trademarking Free Healthy Vending, so I'm crossing my fingers that gets approved. And then from there, even before the trademark decision, because that has no bearing on what we do, it would just be amazing to get that trademarked. We're going to be launching our Free Healthy Vending YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, which includes shorts, of course. Our TikTok, we have one. We're going to commit to that as well. We're going to commit to Facebook Shorts, Instagram Reels, LinkedIn, and really commit to that. We're talking 30, 40 pieces of organic content coming out each and every week. And the whole idea on that is to really challenge locations, like, for example, hospitals, right? Every hospital you've probably been in traditionally has junk food machines, which completely goes against their mission and values at a hospital, which is health and well-being, right? But with that said, our whole idea, though, is to create a movement underneath that of, employees, patients, students, kids, parents, right, that want to see organic, gluten-free, healthier choices in a vending machine. And that's a real big movement behind that. So we can get these folks and our digital platforms and branding and just weight, our digital weight, to push against these locations and truly change the face of vending. And we're looking to disrupt the entire industry this way, but get a backing of consumers in all sorts of verticals, like I mentioned, students, parents, employees, what have you, visitors, to really help push that movement and say, hey, we want free, healthy vending. We want the junk food out.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, another question I have is, if you were to give some meaningful advice to someone who is looking into getting into the vending machine business, what is a key part of some advice that you would offer to them?
Don't. I'm just kidding. So if you're that just depends. So commonly in the vending world, you can go on YouTube and you can see hundreds and hundreds of videos, right? And it's the same thing over and over again, which is you go out there and buy a cheap vending machine for $500 or $1,000, right? You go out there and you just make calls to locations, say, hey, I'd like to offer you a free a free vending machine, and would love to partner with you. Maybe share a little profit or not. Just say, hey, we'd like to offer you a free vending machine and I'll go and restock it for you. That is the traditional way of doing business. Or you can get locations through Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, and there's some other avenues as well. But that's if someone just doesn't have that much money to spend and you just want to learn business, like somebody young, or initially just trying to learn business, it's a great way to do it, right? And you can do that and you're going to learn the business, but you're going to learn out very quickly that model doesn't make a lot of money. And but if you've got good credit and not a lot of capital, or you've got capital, right? Credit doesn't matter at that point. And you're looking to make $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month, right? Then you need to get into a model where you're going to replace existing vending machines. And it's why my model works, because you can't go to a high foot traffic location, 300 more consumers, right? Students, and say, or whatever it is, and say, hey, let me replace your junk food vending machine with my junk food vending machine.
Yeah.
Right? It's like trading in a car and trading for the same exact vehicle. Doesn't really make sense. Let me trade this Honda Accord at 50,000 miles for that Honda Accord at 50,000 miles. Doesn't make any sense, which is a big part of our business model. We're offering them something better, right? Mm-hmm. As Mr. Wonderful says on Shark Tank, if you ever watch that, right? It's a better hamster wheel.
Yeah,
hamster wheel.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to be moving on to our final question, and on the podcast, it's usually known as the big question. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
Right.
Give it to me.
So our big question to you is, what advice would you give to the younger generations?
So personally or professionally?
It could be a little bit of both if you like.
Okay. So personally, I would recommend my advice to you is to work on your emotional reaction to things. Okay. One of the biggest downfalls you can have as an adult or a child is if you tend to get triggered very easily. And when you learn that most of the time when other people get triggered, it's never about you, it's more about them and what's going on in their life. Yeah. So when you're able to moderate your own reactions emotionally and not get triggered by other people, they always say the most dangerous person that you're ever going to meet, when they react to things and they say, yeah, it is what it is a very dangerous person, because they tend not to take things personally. And that doesn't mean they don't have emotions, right? They just don't react upon them. And especially other people's actions. And that's one of the things entrepreneurship taught me. I always say entrepreneurship is the one thing is guaranteed. What did I? Gosh, and I'm thinking of this line I apologize, and I do say it all the time. I promise you. The one thing that's guaranteed, it's unpredictable, and ultimately, entrepreneurship is constantly trying to solve problems. and in the middle of chaos, because there's always going to be something that comes up. Okay. Excuse me. The only thing that's predictable in entrepreneurship is that it's unpredictable. That's what I say all the time. So the ability to know that, hey, you're gonna solve a problem. You're gonna solve 5 problems today. Tomorrow you're gonna solve 3 problems. The next day you're probably gonna have to solve 8 more problems. And I've been able to apply that business wise as well, and personally and professionally. That, hey, you know what? There's a solution to every problem. So rather than reacting emotionally to it, because anger doesn't solve anything, literally nothing. Right. So if you can just keep your cool and understand somebody else is getting upset, it's more about them. Right. And you just take a step back. Right. Or you may have heard this, the most dangerous person in a room is the one who's the quietest. We're just taking in everybody else's reactions in order to formulate their own and then say, okay, now that everybody is freaked out, here's what I think we should do.
Yeah.
And I think that applies both, that 100% applies personally and professionally. So that's what I would say.
All right. Well, we just want to say thank you so much for taking the time out of your day with meeting with us. It was an absolute pleasure.
You guys are welcome. You're doing an awesome job. Looking forward to seeing it.
All right. That's all we have for you guys on the Three Peaks podcast. We'll see you guys on the trail next time.